Spain beat England 2-1. All the goals in the second half. Nico Williams scored less than 2 minutes into the second half, assisted by Lamine Yamal. The two youngsters combined to give Spain a 1-0 lead. And then a substitute, Cole Palmer, equalized for England, assisted by Jude Bellingham. But then 4 minutes from time, a substitute for Spain, Mikel Oyarzabal.
Yeah, I know. We had to bandy about that.
Scored the winner, assisted by Cucurella. So Spain take it. It's their record fourth European crown. England's trophy drought continues. Maybe they'll break that in 2026 when it'll be a nice even 60 years here in the United States.
Yeah, I was obviously next to Daniel Sturridge and Jules at the table, and you know these English folks in front of the camera and behind the camera, and I wouldn't say they were distraught. And I think part of that comes from the fact that anybody reasonable that watched this game will have recognized that going into the game, Spain was a better team. During the game, Spain was a better team. And ultimately, not only the better team won, but the best team in the tournament, Spain, won. And so I know that that's not necessarily consolation to the England fans out there, but they lost to a better team and a much better team in the way that they played. So it wasn't as if they were in it and pissed it away. Even when they scored that goal, it was almost, I know it's counterintuitive because obviously they were down a goal. And so scoring a goal, in my expert opinion, is good. But it is almost as if they got that shot and they felt inoculated and they could do no wrong. And yet they pulled back into a much more of a shell. And it's almost as if they woke up Spain with that goal, that tying goal. And from then on, it was just all Spain. So what are we to make ultimately of this, before we get to Spain, of this England team here? Is this a team that is heading in the right direction? And this is a team worthy of our time, again, in a final? And I do think that when all is said and done, Gareth Southgate has to be looked at as one of the great managers in England history. Potentially, you could probably even make a case for the best in history, given where he did, but ultimately didn't quite get them across the finish line and didn't have that moment.
Still, a very successful last few years for them to get to a World Cup semifinal and 2 Euros finals. Southgate has at least gotten them to the point where they're legit contenders for major trophies, and I think they're going to stay that way because there's still a lot of talent there. They're young. Guys like Bellingham, Saka, Foden are still going to be very good come 2026, so I absolutely expect England to be one of the handful of top contenders at the next World Cup.
But they do have to upgrade in different places, and I think you could go through, probably you could go goalkeeper. Harry Kane came off, did not have a defining type of tournament. So I don't think going forward. You think Harry Kane's still there in 2 years?
I do, but strange tournament for him. I agree. It took a little bit of a hit, his reputation this summer.
Yeah, if there was somebody waiting in the wings, if there was a
Flo Balogun, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody waiting in the wings that could take over. But I don't think he was necessarily 100%, and so maybe that changes over the next couple of years. But I do think that there has to be a real possibility of moving on from him and going in directions. And to your point, there are young players and talent, not the least of which is Jude, that this team can be built around going forward. Southgate, future, what do you think happens?
Honestly, I would keep them if I was England. I don't know if you're going to find a better manager.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
But
well, do you think he stays? Because they might want to keep him. He might want to say, "I've done as much as I can. I want something else." Yeah,
it's been a long time, so he might be ready to leave that job, given all the pressure and scrutiny of it. But I don't know. We'll see.
I did, if you watched our coverage today, and if you've watched it over the last, like I said, 5 weeks or so, I came into this tournament, talking about and I can use the term glee that I often use, and I'm not alone in the angst and the disappointment and the failure and the, I guess, the Schadenfreude type of situation when it comes to this England team and equating them with the Dallas Cowboys, in that as many people watch because they hate them as love them, but everybody watch. I did find myself over the tournament, and not relative to any type of romantic play, kind of growing into this team in that this wasn't a team that you could kind of hate. It wasn't, horrible personalities or people that were, villainous types of characters on this team. They got a little better, never great. And I did find myself at the end kind of saying, and maybe it's just relative to history, Mosse, in that wanting to kind of see this spell broken. But then when it happened, I was okay in terms of seeing England lose. And so the streak continues. And like you said, who knows, maybe in 2 years here in the U.S., they are able on the 60th anniversary to break that failure. All right, turn it to Spain. The cream of the crop throughout the tournament, 7-0. They did not mess around. As we've said time and time again, they fundamentally changed the way that they play. And yet what didn't change is their dominance and their ability to be successful on a continual basis. And if you're looking for a team with an incredible future, you look at some of the youth that they have. The future looks bright. I echo everything that you said over the last couple of shows about the epicenter being in Spain with the men's, women's, and all the youth talent that they have. So the future looks incredibly bright.
Yeah, Lamine Yamal turned 17 yesterday, and Nico Williams turned 22 on Friday. So they were both fresh off celebrating birthdays, and they combined on that goal, and they celebrate this Euros title. Spain become just the second team to win 7 games at a major tournament. Brazil did it in the 2002 World Cup. They've won 3 of the last 5 Euros. And what impressed me about them, they remind me of Manchester City in this regard. Yeah, they have some great players, but it's such a strong collective that there's an interchangeable nature to the whole thing. Even Rodri coming off at halftime, we would have thought that's the one player they can't live without. Zubimendi comes in, and he was great in the second half. They didn't miss a beat. Oyarzabal comes on for Morata, and he ends up getting the winner. Merino came on in the quarterfinals and scored the late winner against Germany. Pedri gets hurt early in that game. Danny almost steps in, and he ends up being one of the stars of the tournament for them. Not just with goals, but also that incredible goal line clearance at the end on that header by Guehi today to preserve the lead. So it was just such a strong collective where you felt like they could plug in different players and everybody would come through when they needed them to.
And so obviously the next couple of years, if some other players either emerge or some that were hurt that were not there this summer, then get on the field, I can't see them getting any worse. I can only see them getting any better and stronger, and that bodes well for their future, but the rest of the world better take notice.
Absolutely. Gavi is a player who missed this tournament. He'll be back. Pedri, as I mentioned, got hurt early in the quarterfinals. So, yeah, they are loaded with talent. They will be very strong in 26 for sure.
Did you see the report over there from the Washington Post, I think it was, over there, Stephen Goff over there, with about the coach for Spain potentially being interested in the U.S. Job, which is it's just a little strange given the fact that they just won Euros 2 years before the World Cup.
Yeah, and you'd think he's focusing on this Euros. Why is he even thinking about the U.S. job? So I don't know. I'm a bit skeptical of that.
Well, even if it's the truth, I'm not sure if that's necessarily the way to go. Again, it's a very apples and oranges type of situation in terms of who you are coaching and what the expectations are going forward. But anyway, we're going to continue to follow the U.S. situation. All right, so we finish up with the Euros. All in all, as a tournament, how was it? Where do you give it on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of tournaments out there this Euros? In terms of, I don't know, drama and excitement and
solid
interest.
8 out of 10.
Okay.
There were some disappointing games in a knockout stage. Some teams like France and Belgium and Portugal that didn't quite live up to what we thought they would be. But I thought overall it was a very compelling tournament.
I thought it was too. I thought that Germany did once again a great job in hosting it, and the crowds there and the scenes there, especially yes, the scenes in the stadiums, and we talk about Turkey and these types of things that were happening, but also the watch parties and the cities and the festive atmosphere of people coming together. Sometimes tens of thousands, 100,000 people together celebrating the team and celebrating the sport and obviously celebrating the tournament.
And incidentally, we ended up with a 6-way tie for the Golden Boot, and UEFA decided there's no tiebreaker. They just all share it.
This is insane. Okay, this is so stupid. This is like everybody gets a trophy here. So there's a 6-way tie with people that have 3 goals. And rather than go to assists or some other criteria to break the deadlock, everybody's going to get a trophy?
That's it.
Stupid. This is so stupid. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.